fuel to the speculation that the governor will run is his tour around the country.
His office says he's just telling Michigan's comeback story to the people, but some believe he is using this as a test the waters kind of thing for his campaign. Right now he's in New York, a planned trip to the Big Apple.
That's right, but there's been some outcry saying he should have stayed here in Michigan to address the roads. And joining us now, editor of the Detroit Free Press editorial page, Stephen Henderson. Stephen, good to have you with us. Let's talk about that.
Nice
is that justified? Should people be upset that he is out of town when Prop 1 just went down in flames?
Oh, well, I mean, he certainly has got a lot of work to do here in Michigan. It's not just the roads and Prop 1, but he's got this massive proposal to reform Detroit schools on the table that he's got to sell to a legislature that's not all that wild about that. And so I think there is a legitimate perception that the governor's off selling the message elsewhere, perhaps for a presidential run, when there is governing to do here in Michigan.
Now, some people are speculating his whole announcement about reforming Detroit schools is actually part of maybe this push to be a presidential candidate.
Well, I mean, I think if he can get it passed, it would be one of those things that he could sort of show as an accomplishment. I mean, and let's talk about it. This is a governor who's got a lot to show. His tax reforms, he's moved the state forward quite a bit in certain ways, and has a story to tell about where we were when he took office versus where we are now. But he's still got a lot of work to do here, and I think this is sort of an inopportune time to be absent from the discussion about these very serious problems. You know, 87% of the people say fix the roads and fix them really quickly after Tuesday's devastating loss.
But is he really absent? I mean, in today's world with email and with phones and with everything else.
He'll be back tomorrow.
Right. I mean, is he constantly in touch and working on it? And I guess the other question to that is, when you're talking about the roads, do you expect him right in there with the lawmakers, or do you expect the legislators to come up with something for him to look at?
I think he's going to have to be right in there with legislators. I would never underestimate the power of that persuasiveness you can have in the room with people. That may be part of the problem with why he hasn't had a roads package passed so far. I remember we ended up with Prop 1 because they couldn't pass a package on their own last year or for the last 3 years. This is a governor who's got to be here and got to be at the center of this, and really has to be telling the legislature they can't be leaving this summer for vacation unless they get it passed.
All right, Stephen, Politico is reporting that the governor has made up his mind about not running for president. They cite one source who said it would take too much of his time. His office, though, is saying basically nothing has changed, that he still is considering a run. What do you think is the truth of the matter here?
I think he's thinking about it, and I think he's intrigued by the possibility. And there's certainly, once you dip your toe in this water and other people start to come out and say, well, that's a great idea and I would give you money or support for that, I think it's hard to say, no, I won't do it. At the same time, I think he faces an enormous monetary challenge to filing. He faces enormous name recognition problems.
Yeah.
You know, you have the polls that people don't know him from reporters at my newspaper. That's not a good sign this late in the cycle.
Well, you're right. We're still 18 months away from this election, but truly, when you're facing that type of name recognition problems, the sooner he would get in, if he chooses to, the better for him, right? To get going, get his name out there.
He's got to make that decision by early this summer, otherwise it'd be way too late. By fall, he would need to be in full campaign mode all the time and raising all the kind of money that he would need to be competitive. So I think that does sort of cast doubt on whether this is really going to come to fruition. Yeah. But I think he's somebody who wants to find out for himself.
Yeah, plus you got to remember, when he ran for Michigan governor, nobody knew him either, and he emerged from the very back of that pack and won. So that gets a little addictive.
I have said several times that I am as guilty as anybody of underestimating Rick Snyder. I gave him zero chance to even get the nomination back in 2010. Turns out he not only did that, but he won. Once he puts his mind to something, he has a very good record of getting it done.
Relentless.
Maybe he'll bring back the nerd thing, right? That's how he really caught on, so we'll see.
We'll see if nerds play in Peoria. Stephen Henderson, as always, we thank you for your time.